All right. All right. Thank you for that, Jackie. We'll go ahead and get started then. I won't go to you first because you're doing the other link. So Melanie, first of all, how are you? Any questions, comments, and concerns, and your favorite type of ice cream? I don't know why I think about that a cold day, but still. Go ahead and get started then.
I'm doing really well. I hope everybody else is too. I got a big chuckle from the first thing in the morning email we got from Q, putting teachers in place of athletes and how the sports commentators would handle that. That was hilarious, and I really loved that. So the day got off to a good start. And my favorite ice cream is spearmint chocolate chip. They make it in Georgetown.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll have to try that.
I highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm. Next time I'm in Georgetown, I'll check it out. I'm going to be driving by you all tomorrow, heading to Eagle. But Holly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Another day.
Another day in paradise. Happy early birthday, right?
Yeah, a few more hours.
Oh, nice. I think I like the Little Man's ice cream. I don't know if you guys have ever had it. It's down in the Highlands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Or Cold Stone. I don't have a flavor because all of it's good. So
Awesome. Yeah, Little Man's pretty good. I've been there a couple of times.
it's good.
Brent, how are you doing? You're on mute.
I'm good, thanks. Strawberry, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Jill, how are you?
Crazy. Still crazy. I'm gonna manage it though. All of the balls in the air, and I don't know. Pistachio is a good one. I do really like the Baskin Robbins chocolate chip, and that one in particular is good.
Mm-hmm. I think I would have all of them at this point. Why the heck not? Polly, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. And I like raspberry sherbet. I know it's not ice cream, but that's what I like.
Awesome. I bought this little machine. It got me on the internet where it's like you just put in frozen raspberries or frozen fruit and it turns it into like sherbet. You don't add anything else. It's pretty good. But the key flaw is the raspberries will make a huge mess and the seeds get stuck in the machine, but it does make really good its own little sorbet, sherbety kind of stuff. It's good. The things that the internet convinces me to buy at 2 a.m. Karen, our Q, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Sprinting through the day. And yep, I know Jill's thinking about graduation, all of her class stuff and tonight. So props to you. I love all ice cream, but my favorite is the delivery ice cream that you come by for other people. Jenny's, JENI''S. My sisters sent it to me, and it's if you haven't done it before, it's a little expensive, but it's like the best surprise ever. It gets delivered to people's houses in like a big ice thing, and it's just like the most wonderful surprise ever. So that.
Never heard of that, but I might have to send that, especially to my work partner, Kayla, her kids. I'm always looking at fun things to send their way because she's got 4 of them. Got to entertain them somehow.
I'll drop the link in the chat.
Yes, please do. And Jackie, how are you?
Also, good auntie move, like sugar them up. Yeah, good move. Always a good idea. I'm doing well today. A little frog in my throat, but that's about it. And I love me some coffee ice cream, especially if it's got like some like dark chocolate chips in it. Like that's what I'm gonna pick every single time.
Awesome. Sounds delicious. Maybe I'll get some ice cream after this. All right. Thanks for doing our check-in as always. I don't think we set an agenda at the end of last session. I know we were having our continued conversation around compensation. I think we had sort of resolved some of the PD days. And I know I'm missing something and I apologize because my brain is fried, but what other items do we have updates? Oh yes, Jackie.
I had sent a draft I should have included, did I include you on that, Emily? Of,
Maybe the CBA for the
yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
the classified. I think that's the only other thing that's outstanding. And there's definitely some things I'm sure we should talk about in there.
Mhm.
And I don't know that we for sure decided on the PD days. I think we were between 5.5 and 6. I don't think that's going to be a hard thing to do, but unless you guys know something, I don't know.
Yeah, does anyone have any follow-up on the PD days? I think there's our subcommittee that was working on that one.
Nah, I think we just
Be
need to
combining groups.
rock, paper, scissors and get it done. Sorry.
I
So
thought
it
he
can be a
was
hard-
gonna go back to the board about those numbers and then report out. Am I thinking right or wrong?
I got feedback from principals. I committed to do that. So
Okay.
yeah, I
Okay.
talked with all of them and kind of talked them through the flow of the calendar and the last day and the grading days and what have you. So I'm happy to recount that conversation and then help us check that one off the list.
Do we want to jump into that conversation right now? Just get it going since we're here? All right.
Sure.
Continue on with PD days. All right.
Yeah, want me to jump in?
Sure.
Okay. So for everyone who's listening, I'll hopefully ground us in the conversation because I think that might be helpful this year and in years past, but particularly in our CBA this year, we had 4 days of professional development. And off the top of my head, I think we had 11 non-student contact days total. Remember, we take conferences out of those. Next year, as we're shifting to the 4-day school week, we will have 14 days total of non-student contact days, not including conferences. And so we were thinking about it in terms of, in general, it would be a nice pace to have Friday mornings be devoted to something that's got to do with professional learning or professional development, especially with the great work that folks have come together and done this year already around expeditionary learning and advisory and social emotional learning and so on and so forth. However, within that, we know it's important that educators also have time for grading. And we know the last day, which is like June 9th off the top of my head, is not a great day for professional development. So I think where we landed after a caucus was CCCEA had made a proposal of 5.5 days. At the beginning of the conversation, I had said I'd really like 7 days, but then when you take that last day of school out, that gets it to 6 days. So really we were a half day off. And after talking with principals, I'm comfortable doing the 5.5. I think that honors the grading that needs to happen, the planning that needs to happen, the individual work that folks do, as well as honors bringing folks together for the professional learning support that continues the really good work that people are already doing. And hopefully the professional learning is so amazing. People are like, woo, we want more, but we just need more time to do that. That would be the goal. We don't want people dragging their feet into it going, bleh, it's awful. So speaking of which, just putting a little dangler out there for Melanie mentioned the video that came out today. There's one coming out each day this week, and some have to do with staff meetings and professional development. That's all I'm going to say. So if CCCEA is still amenable to the 5.5, I think we are comfortable with that as a leadership team.
Any questions on it and what Q has said so far?
That
Just
sounds
need to
great.
write
Thank
that
you.
up in consensus and then sign something, right?
How does 5 for PD days work for everybody?
Yeah, and Ryder likes that too. The Australian Shepherd behind me,
Mhm.
he's good with it.
All right, everybody good? Okay, all right. 5.5 days for professional development. We've got that one resolved. Okay. And I, as always, look to you all to work on that contract language if you need to. Move it forward, probably just making a quick change in the agreement.
Yeah, I think it's just changing the number of days that are in there, I think.
Okay. All right. Where we'd like to go to next? We can have more of our conversation around the collective bargaining agreement for the classified staff. I know that Jackie had sent out whatever day that was, I can't remember. And then, or our continued conversation around compensation. I know there were some offers, thoughts, ideas that were passed around last time around compensation that needed some additional, dialogue with the board, stakeholders, all that good stuff. But where would you like to go to next?
Yeah, if everyone's agreeable, I'd love to stick with our mostly, half and half, although it might not totally flow that way. I thought the flow of it last time worked pretty well. So it doesn't matter to me which we start out with, if we want to do the certified piece first, which I think is specific to compensation, and then the part around classified, I think, is both compensation as well as the CBA, unless I'm missing anything. So whichever one you guys want to start with.
Anyone have a burning desire, either the classified collective bargaining agreement or continue the conversation around compensation?
Why don't you do the compensation for the certified folks?
All right. Okay, I know there was a proposal that was kind of passed last time. Any updates on that, Q? Any more additional information you'd like to share?
Yeah, and I'll encourage my team to jump in as well, especially as I'm trying to describe things. And I'm going to apologize. I do have a very talkative Australian who's behind me. It's a dog, not a person. So we did a lot of costing out, and probably the biggest thing that we're thinking about right now is what does that sustainability look like, as well as how much can we take the reserves down. I know that we've got a heavy reserve. We also know that, and you guys have acknowledged this too, that those are one-time dollars. We're comfortable tapping into them on a short-term basis, but we know over time they can't sustain what we need. So the proposal that the district will put out there, and I'll ask Holly and or Brent to jump in and fill in any blanks that I have, would be 5% plus a step, which Holly, I may need your help here. I think as we're looking at the overall impact just on salary schedule, I think that gets our first year teachers to above 40. And we're looking at comps in terms of districts of similar size as well as around us. And I don't think I'm missing anything. Holly or Brent. Well, and I guess I should also add that I think a step, typically when we're costing that out, we cost it at about 2.5%. So I know we look at that overall cost because we've got to make sure we can sustain that and pay for that into the future. Holly, what did I miss?
Yep, nope, that's good. Yes, so 5% plus a step does bring the new certified schedule level 1 BA to $40,644. And which is comparable to Gilpin. We think that's pretty fair. And Q touched on the main points. When we're ready, I can share analysis, or if you guys want to provide some initial feedback, we're open to that as well.
I believe Gilpin was going to 42 this year, and they have a longer term plan. So I also, I'm very interested in what you have to say, Holly. But the other thing, in response to Q's email that was sent today, I almost feel like we just put out fires from year to year, and we don't really have a long term plan. I mean, if what you believe if what you stated is your belief, Q, then I would assume the district would have a longer term plan than phew, this year's over, and let's see what the people do next year. Do you know what I mean? Many districts, for example, Gilpin, didn't just go into it with a 1-year plan. They really did have a plan to get teachers to where they need to be. And with the cost of living at 7.9%, and I believe it's even higher now, increase from the consumer index, it's 5% doesn't feel like a raise. But I want to hear the whole thing. I'm not shutting any doors. I'm just saying that. But I'm also saying I'm really interested in hearing district's long-term plan. If they believe that educators needs to be addressed. So I'm curious to hear it.
Well, somebody remind me though, the association's proposal, that was for a 1-year deal, right?
Yes, but it was considerably higher.
Yeah, I remember that part. I'm just saying it was for a 1-year deal. There was no mention of entering into a 2 or 3-year contract, I think. Is that right?
No, I'm not talking about a 2 or 3-year contract necessarily, but we got a very lengthy email today, and it talked a lot about how our superintendent or administrators would do more. And so, I mean, I think any organization that is in that situation would probably have put some thought into more than.
Yeah, no, Polly, you're spot on. You're absolutely right. And I just put Gilpin's. I believe I was checking with Dave on what they anticipate their starting salary to be next year. And I put it in the chat. 41,227, I think, is where they've landed. And that was something that's a really good question. The board had asked that as well, because they've got a absolute interest in really trying to close the gap between where we are now compared to our surrounding districts, as well as districts our size. And I totally get it too, that although, you know, we can point to districts that are out on the Eastern Plains or far away in the corners of the state, we're in the metro region. And so if and when we lose teachers, we'll lose them to folks who are surrounding us, which is hard because we know they're bigger and they've got different funding pictures than we do. We didn't put numbers to that with the board. I don't know that they would be against, or I certainly wouldn't be against thinking about that. You know, so there's this question of, do you look at it 1 year out, or do you say, here are our goals for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, knowing that it's tricky to commit, because as you guys know, each year is different, right? Which is sometimes really good and sometimes anxiety producing. But I believe that the absolute goal is to, over time, close that gap. Our biggest competitor, I'm just going to say it, is Jeffco. We know that, right? Like Gilpin's a good benchmark for us because they're a 4-day and they are similar size. And sorry, it's my lovely dog. Actually, it's not mine. But I'll pause. Sorry about that. There may be a 17-year-old stinky son walking in the door. So there was a greeting. Anyway, you know, if CCCEA is looking to do a proposal that's more than a year, we'd certainly take that into consideration, or more, maybe it's just kind of a statement like, yeah, absolutely, each year. Hopefully you guys know me well enough. Each year we want to do as much as we can to get closer, because probably like everyone on this Zoom and anyone who's listening, I think we share that same goal of we've got to be competitive. And whether we're attracting folks brand new right now, or as folks at different points in their career, think of different options. It's a huge goal. We've got to be competitive. We share that, you guys. So, and the board does too.
Yeah, I would, you know, love to hear your analysis, how you came to this proposal, all of that good stuff. And then I think it's fair to say that we are open to a conversation about a multi-year deal, right? Because that would have to include reopeners anyway, right? By the law. But yeah, so I mean, I think we should start with hearing what y'all had planned to present, and then we can caucus and talk about where we are and come back.
I can, but I think Jill had a question. Did you want to talk, Jill, or no, before I present?
I was just gonna tell what I knew about Gilpin, which is a little bit different than what Q had said. I heard that they were getting about a $2,400 increase for each of the next 3 years, and the anticipation that they were going to be close to 43,000 in the fall. So that's a little bit different than the number you have. So for whatever that's
Triple
worth.
check that. That came from the superintendent from Dave, but I'm
Yeah.
happy to text him again.
I agree, and yours is a very precise number and not a roundabout like mine is. So just sharing what I was told, but it is, looks like it's a multi-year plan moving forward for Gilpin.
Yeah. Cool. I'll double check you guys and see what he's got scheduled for year 2 and year 3. Melanie?
Since this part of it doesn't affect me, but I'm curious, I just wanted to confirm that I wrote down the right percentage for the step. Did you say 2.5%?
No, 5%.
5% plus the step, which I'm looking for the step amount.
Oh, so I guess in total would be like 7.5%.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wrote that down correctly. Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
Holly, I could be wrong on this. I'm channeling a little bit of Holly. I think the actual percentage varies a little bit depending on the step. I think that's typically a range. For our costs, we usually estimate it to be about 2.5. Some can be a little lower, some can be a little higher. Am I thinking of that correctly?
Yes, I would say a max of like 2.5, like 1.9 to 2.5.
So maybe a more fair range is like 2.25
Yeah.
or 2.3 or something like that. That might be a good way to put it together.
And that wouldn't apply to folks who are maxed out, right? So not everybody would get a step, and those folks would only get the COLA.
Is there anybody maxed out?
Yeah, I pulled the scattergram just for fun, which I've got somewhere in my pile of papers, so we could look at that. So, and again, if there'd be, if you guys have a counter proposal around folks who are impacted by that, you know, put that together and send that our way too. I think there was a year that we did a combo.
All right. So are you ready for me to share the analysis? Okay. Here, I'm just making some mental notes here. Okay. All right, so this analysis, you all can see my screen, right? Is that perfect? Okay. We came to the conclusion of a step plus 5% based on the following analysis. We are projecting about 223,000 coming in from the state this year. I do want to say that with the caveat that others that might go pull that number will likely probably maybe see different numbers or numbers that are higher. What's clear to note that though is that exactly how I say it here, the state does not include the loss of students that we're projecting this next year. As presented earlier in negotiations, the governor's proposal is projecting our district to have a loss of 20.5 students this next year. So we are rebasing this off 223,000 based on that analysis. I've identified $91,000 in savings from last fiscal year, either vacancy savings or just staff changes. So we went ahead and added that quote unquote revenues for next year for a total of $314,583. Some identified expenditures, about $57,614 for FY23, leaving the amount remaining about $256,000. The cost of a step for all staff with benefits, $102,982. With the COLA of 5% on top with benefits, $347,415. Simple math at the bottom says that the fund reserve is going to be negative 193. That has to come out of the fund reserves each year to sustain this proposal. Down here is what we just talked about. With this proposal, we're currently at 38,709, and that's certified schedule level 1 BA1 cell. A step plus 5% puts it at 40,644. And then this was just a Gilpin comparison. That's just a simple analysis I put together for our proposal, and I'm open to questions.
I have a question, Holly.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about lanes, and those typically are a much smaller dollar amount, but just for the record, what are we thinking for the lane movement for our certified staff?
I don't know.
So increasing like educational credits. So I get 15 more credits, so I move to the right on the salary schedule. I don't know how many teachers that would affect, how many educators that would affect between now and August, but would you be honoring those if that data was presented?
I presume, but I need Robin to rope in and my team. I don't know if we need a caucus or because I'm not sure I can provide much helpful information on that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you remind me, Holly, how many students you predict for next year? The decrease in
So
enrollment?
row 7 here just says, what are we at right now? 632, and they're projecting 20.5 loss of students for next year. So what I was saying is this number in cell G5 represents that. It reflects that loss of students.
Is
But the
that
state-
not the 3-year average though? And how, so if you lose 20 students next year, it would be averaged out over time in terms of funding loss?
It does, and it does include that, but this number is more conservative because the numbers you see with the state right now don't take into account the loss of students.
Okay.
So that would include the 3-year average.
Can I share what I gotten from CEA? Okay, thank you. So this is the spreadsheet that we've received from the Colorado Education Association, which is the analysis of the School Finance Act. And we can look at other districts too if you want. I've highlighted Clear Creek, but this does include loss of pupils and how that will factor in. And in this analysis, even with the loss of pupils, which is fewer than 20, right? It's 15, 16. Here, it still shows a significantly higher amount than your analysis, like $100,000 more.
And that's why I said, because they have 16 there, but they don't always take account the full. So I'm going off the governor's proposal. But this is ever changing. So I know we're going to see numbers. It's going to be like a roller coaster between mid-April to the beginning of May.
Right, but
But
this is the School Finance Act that has been introduced. And these are the most updated numbers.
So what do these numbers mean, Jackie? I mean,
So as you can see,
I can see that I'll tell you that I think we can all see that it's showing a difference between funding for this school year and next year of $328,000.
Correct.
But how do you get there? Like, where do these numbers come from, et cetera?
so these all come from, let me stop sharing so I can make sure. These directly come out of, sorry. The most updated information that's available on CDE based on the 22-23 district funding calculation worksheet as introduced. So
Does
this
it
is
take
just
in consideration though, the change with the budget stabilization factor? Because sometimes
And
those
this
numbers,
I think this includes that, right? This is where we are from all publicly available information about the School Finance Act as it has been introduced. And so what is most likely to happen at this point? And so our research department over at CEA just cleans it up and makes it super easy out of giant spreadsheets that the state provides.
Could be something for us to dig into. I know Holly sliced and diced it lots of different ways, and I appreciate that she plans conservatively for us. And I actually really appreciated too meeting with Jackie and Sarah and Holly. It was especially fun watching Holly and Sarah like do their numbers thing because they're amazingly brilliant. It might just be that we need a little bit of time to put the two pieces together again, like we did before. I know going into some of the estimates, Holly had said, yep, and I'm going to be conservative and here's the why, but it's important that we're able to say, here's the why so we can point to it. And if it ends up not being that much of a difference, then that's a celebration. If it does end up being more conservative, then so be it. It's nice when we have similar numbers. And I can tell by Holly's face, she's digging into things right now.
Yeah, that is similar to I'm staring at a spreadsheet while on a Zoom face. But yeah, and I'm all for responsible budgeting. That seems like a really big gap to me.
The spreadsheet that you just shared, I'm channeling Holly again. She's either, I'm guessing, clicking on it from the CDE site, or you guys are always really good about sharing that with us, whichever seems more appropriate.
I'm not sure if I can share the spreadsheet just because it's, CEA made it and gave us access to it. I don't even have access to edit it.
Totally. Can you do a little, how you just have that column? What might be helpful is to have just like a snapshot of that column so we can see where the 328 and then how that's where we can compare the numbers.
yeah, what row is it? Because I'm on the spreadsheet right now.
What on the one?
The one you pulled from CDE. I mean, I can share my screen. I know that's the one they pulled it from, but I'm not seeing 300,000 on it.
That I couldn't tell you exactly. I can share with you, like Cube just requested a screenshot of this.
Yeah, because I just need to see all the variables. We're getting less, we're getting a little bit more per pupil, but the budget stabilization is eating away more than it has in previous years. So we got to make sure we take into account all that. So that's why I was just trying to get all of the, I was trying to tie back to your number. I'm not seeing it.
Just need to create a group of you in my email so I don't have to do this every single time.
Holly, is that a melanzana as they're working on the number stuff that you're wearing? Is that your Melly?
I have quite a few. And when I saw the snow this morning, I wore it. Pippi had the same one in reverse colors, and so did Sally's brown.
I have the yellow one. I feel like we should all wear them on the same days. It's our Clear Creek colors. Or maybe they should sponsor us along with Subaru. Sorry, I totally distracted everyone, but that would be delightful. Now Robin's holding it. I'm worried.
Sorry, it's just been a long day. Well, they're looking, Jill. Is it okay if I just ask her, like, to sort of clarify what you were, if that's something that I can look into about the educational increases? I'm trying to understand what that is that you're looking for, or what you're asking.
Robin, she's asking whether we were going to allow people. So for example, if they got more credits, college credits, and they advanced to the right on the salary schedule, if we were going to allow that. to happen, or if folks would be frozen, like no lane changes. And we should probably do, we will discuss that in the caucus next time.
Okay.
I would note that neither side, I don't think, has presented any changes to that scheme. So, but it does, it's a question that does need to be answered by us.
CCCA team, do we want to pop into a caucus and talk? If I know Holly's kind of looking into finding out where that number came from. I might actually be able to get Sarah Siegel to answer that question. I'm not sure how busy she is right at this moment, but we can at least go in and discuss the district's proposal.
That work for everybody? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna still look. I can't find that number. I need just a little bit of time to look through that.
Okay.
How much time would folks like? I see it's 4:40 right now.
Let's go with 20 minutes.
I was gonna say 5, yeah. That's good.
Okay, let's reconvene at 5 o'clock at the top of the hour. I will see you all then.
Folks who are watching, this live stream will end and a new one will begin.